And that's really the future of automation. Don't worry, it's not Skynet, it's not the Terminator, it's
Mhm.
good.
And so now we can finally get into, now that the listener, I hope, has some more like tangible like numbers in their head. Now we can talk about improving the situation, kind of continue that part of the discussion, right?
You bet.
And so you begin with, is there any innovation or any technological innovation that's happened in the kitchen itself in getting the food once the order is there? Like, let's start from the end to the beginning of the order, because the beginning of the order is the most complex part, right? Getting the person and the marketing, all that is much more involved. So let's talk about the end of the chain, which is getting the order and packaging it and putting it on the door, right? Has there been any innovation on that last mile or the last part of that equation?
Okay, so I'm sorry, you want me to tackle
Start
the
from
back
the end.
of the
Yeah,
restaurant or the
start
front?
from the end of the order to the beginning of the order. Yeah,
Okay, so from the back of the house, there's
yeah.
been monumental changes in
Mm,
people, process, and technology. I serve over 30 marquee restaurant brands, and those
okay.
brands are alive today and surviving today because they've become very good with very little. So they've created processes that are simpler. From the all the way back to supply chain, they've made the products more shelf stable, more predictable. They've worked on the arrival of those products. When they come
Mhm.
in, they've worked on the handling of those products, making it simpler, easier. The production techniques, tools, things like turbo chef ovens and double-sided cooking technologies have transformed everything. The ability to hold food, the ability to assemble food just in time for an order, the
Mhm.
communication between the order and the production it's night and day, and that helps a lot. Without that, I doubt a restaurant today would be able to survive.
That is interesting because, like, I mean, the restaurant, even if you look at 20 years ago, right? Compare that to what happened 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, right? Like, there's already like a lot of changes happening in the restaurant industry from 50, 60 years ago when McDonald's came out, and then that, like, a lot of changes were already happening, and now you're saying that inside the kitchen it's been even further like optimized, where
It's amazing.
every
It's
second.
amazing. These restaurant chains are doing remarkable things with technology and innovation and process to make restaurants safer. And now
Mm,
automation is also there's been an automation revolution. So 20 years ago, McDonald's pioneered robotics with an automated robotic crew helper, the fry machine and the drink machine, and those have been limited and working very well for 20 years. Well, now great brands like Mizo and others are creating a multitude of robotics for the kitchen that really can assist the staff in production of food and delivery of food. Well, simultaneously, there's this new great awakening that my friend Ed Cardone, who really started U.S. Cyber Command, he was a roommate of mine at West Point, talks about centaurs, and
mm,
that's really the future of automation. Don't worry, it's not Skynet, it's not the Terminator, it's
mhm,
good. It's the combination of humans and AI and
mm.
robotics in an ecosystem that allows each of those subsystems to do what they do best. And so,
Yeah,
as a consequence, I believe you'll see in the very near future, like now, this is being accelerated by the pandemic, by the labor shortage, by the
yeah.
inflation. It's all being accelerated. You'll see a better integration of those things to the benefit of all of them. And as a consequence of that, you'll see fewer people in the restaurants able to make more money because they'll be able to be more efficient. The restaurateurs, as a consequence, will also be able to expand their margins by leveraging that. But it's win win.
Yeah,
The employees will win. I guess it's win win win. The employees
yeah,
will win by having less stress and making more
yeah,
money. The operators will win by selling more food, making more money, having less stress, and the
yeah.
customers will win because they'll get a fast, accurate, and friendly experience.
I see. And yeah, and that reminds me. I think in some establishments, I think a few in America where the restaurant is pretty much completely run by robots, right? I've seen a few examples of that. I think one in Massachusetts, in Boston, Massachusetts, and then I think there's one other somewhere else. I think in New York City, like there's a restaurant which are completely. I mean, it's kind of a little bit gimmicky, but not completely. But they actually run completely by restaurants. And then I've seen a lot of these examples in China, which has been doing a lot of these, experimentation with robot operated restaurants and so forth. And they use they use one kind of person for salads and stuff, and then they use another for like a robot for different part of the recipe and so forth. So I can see like robots are going to take over more and more of the kitchen, so to speak. When you look at the now, let's look at market penetration just on the kitchen side. We're still talking about the kitchens. When you talk about these new technologies, right, and you can see the change. There's always the bleeding edge, and there's the middle of the bell curve, and then there's the laggard, right? Where are we in terms of the adoption rate within the kitchen?
Awesome. So it depends on the technology. You pointed
Yeah.
out this group over here, the bleeding edge. Those great innovators who are disrupting the industry and creating these completely automated restaurants. Then you have the folks who are just your Michelin restaurants who are like, we're no way, we're not doing that, but we're going
Uh-huh.
to stick to it. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, the fact is that great restaurant brands today are leveraging robotics to come alongside humans in an ecosystem that's going to it's going to move very quickly. For
Yeah.
example, you saw a recent article with featuring Brian Nickel from Chipotle, who's
Hmm.
talking about their new chip robot. And you'll notice that this doesn't it allows the staff to do other things while the chips are made not to perfection. Think about that. They're
Hmm.
made with the nuance of being slightly imperfect so that you will get that unbelievable quality in
Hmm.
the food without a human having to impact those chips. That's just one example of
Ah.
mainstream use of robotics. I think the next big thing is the ability to combine and synchronize people into that process. So now, because of technologies like we're using today, Zoom, etc., if you
Hmm.
think about the military or an automobile factory, how you can have engineers in one place
Mm.
let's take an automobile factory and you'll see where the progression of this is going to go.
Yep. Yep.
Robotics
Yep.
works so well in a car factory because the OEMs have engineers right on site. And when
Yeah.
something goes wrong with the robots, the engineers can fix it. So they take a lot of those tasks. Well, the military has extended that in an amazing way to combine humans and automation. So, for example, with drones today, one pilot can handle multiple drones
Yeah.
because the AI handles the simple parts of the tasks.
Yep. Yep.
Airlines,
Yep.
the same way. The airplane can basically fly itself. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get on a plane. I'm not saying you're going to get on a plane. I don't think that's going to happen. I had a very interesting conversation with the head of logistics at FedEx who told me that greater than 90% of their flights from end to end were automated today. And I asked him, when will we ever see planes without pilots? And he said, never. So,
We had interestingly we had a guest in I think episode 8 or 9 or somewhere. They are actually building autonomous cargo large autonomous cargo drones which have no pilots in them
yeah,
for cargo so
yeah,
far. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. You're not going to strap yourself onto a plane. Now, that plane could be end to end flown by a computer, but it's going to have a very qualified human who's going to be in there. Now, when you think about restaurants and not putting people at 30,000 feet, it's an awful lot safer. So
Yeah.
now, leveraging this kind of technology, for example, going back to the OEM example, you
Yeah.
could conceivably, when we were working at McDonald's, it's very specific. We tried to pioneer a new fry robot 20 years ago that would not just dispense the fries, but it would basket them, drop them, shake them, dump them, salt them. But the problem was the machine would break. Well, that's still going to happen today. But now with this technology, we could have a remote pilot sitting and getting tapped on the shoulder and say the fryer at Burger King number, and that screen comes up. The
Mm.
pilot could repair that in real time. I think that's you're going to see that happen. We leverage that for order taking and payment.
Mm.
predominantly using voice in that ecosystem. So we're on the front end of that. And then we leverage the key, the thing that's changed everything in the world today, people need to understand, are APIs. And think of APIs as a simple roadmap that tell technology what to do with the data. This, oh, look, Amon is coming back. Now, let's put this in the context of an order. Amon is back. I can tell that from any technology, geo technology, Bluetooth technology, cell phone
Yeah,
technology, you name it. Amon is back. What is Amon like? Here's his previous order history. Hi, Amon. Welcome back. Want the same order you had last time? Yeah, but I'd like to add this and this and this to it. Okay. Well, now I know that you're a big fan of cheesecake
yeah,
because of the data. Can I get you a cheesecake? You add that on. Would you like to pay for that with your Visa ending in? No, I want to put a new card in. Use my Amex. And all of this can be done in an automated fashion that can be backstopped by humans, making it easy. It's fast, frictionless. Remember those three things: fast,
yeah,
accurate, friendly. Well, the
yeah.
technology can improve all those areas. The friendly part, I'm not saying technology is more friendly than people. I'm saying that first and foremost, any guest who wants to talk to a human needs to be able to talk to a human. That's first and foremost.
Yeah,
Second, that human is not distracted with a lot of mundane. They have a specific purpose, like the drone pilot.
yeah,
They come in for the last part of that, and they're a fixer. They can solve the problem, making the entire ecosystem more efficient, cheaper, better for everybody. Remember,
yeah.
all three people have to benefit: the guest, the operator, and the employee.